Every time I launch a new SPEX online workshop, I think about the situation in the world. I think about the sense that this workshop has to me, yeah? And the same thing I did when I launched, so in December 2019, just after I had handed in my doctorate thesis, I decided to renew I had an online platform for workshops, but it was old and it wasn't working well, and I didn't do often online workshops. But in December 2019, just 2 months before the pandemic exploded, I decided to renew the platform, and I launched right away in December 2 online workshops. And then the pandemic exploded, and the people who were already doing this workshop in Spanish and in Italian, they were so thankful that they had the workshop. It was just perfect for the lockdown. So it was incredible how this, and then of course I founded the sense of working on ourselves in order to strengthen our immune system. Yeah, to me that was the sense that these workshops had, because I'm an artivist. I'm an activist through art. And I have created this SPEX method in order to create, in order to contribute to the creation of a society which is more empathic and which is more focused on authentic human needs, and not the needs of the market, and not the needs of a few powerful, and not the needs of of a few powerful, of the rich. No, the authentic human needs, what we really need. And what we really need, most of the people, I mean, I think that this is for everyone, but of course we have different needs perhaps, but one of the things that I think that we all do need is human connection, yeah? And what SPEX does, so the SPEX is a dispositive for individual transformation and social activism. How does it work? Individual transformation, because through the expression of our authentic emotions and needs, and through an articulate work on the multiple and ever-changing perceptions of the images, what we do is that we change perception of ourselves. We make our perception flexible. We see ourselves from different lenses in order to discover the huge potential that we all have, and therefore anything is possible, yeah? But we train sort of our empathic gaze towards ourselves because we see this multiplicity, and therefore yes, we discover all those limits and all those parts of ourselves that we don't like, but they are just one part of a whole. And when we see all this multiplicity, we say, well, then it's not so bad, yeah? Actually, recently I found a sentence by Baruj Spinoza, a philosopher of many centuries ago, who said, the emotions, which is suffering, cease to be suffering when we make ourselves a clear and defined picture of those emotions and of this suffering. And this is exactly what we do in SPEX. We picture our emotions and we look at them. We study the two sides of the face. We see all these multiple perceptions. We see one thing and its opposite in one only image, which is 1/100th of a second, of a 60th of a second, so a very small fraction of a second. We see this incredible multiplicity. And therefore, you know, we see a huge potential. And so all sort of the difficult things to see in ourselves are just a part of a whole. And we always discover our strengths. There are always strengths in our pictures, yeah? Of course, our perception is not an interpretation. We never interpret the images, because our perception is partly subjective. But what we do is that we see one thing, and then we see another, and then we see another, and then we see another. So the whole point is not see the one meaning of a picture, because we will never get to know it. But the whole point is to see so many things that you realize that you do have so many things, yeah? So this is the main goal, you know. But it is individual, but it is social as well, because the exercises in SPEX are divided in 3 parts: me and the other, me and the world. So it is a journey through all aspects of our lives with photography, trying to express all our emotions, all our states of mind. We document our lives, we document our places, our roots, our possible identities through the character representation. We document everything. And then we do a whole project, autobiographical project in form of a book. And in this project, we sort of make sense of our lived experience. And not only, but we do sort of put more focus on our place in the world, our mission in the world. Because Nietzsche said that he who has who lives with a why can bear with almost any how. So, and this is talking about me. I just feel so much like that, you know. So, because since 2004, that my mission is really clear. When I really started building SPEX in 2004 and teaching in self-portrait workshops, I had this consciousness of having created a new practice that, I mean, not completely new, of course, but it is new because it's formed by several elements and there is nothing similar. Not only the self-portraiture or the authentic self-portraits, but also the methodology of perception. So the dispositive in itself, which is a sum of all these elements which form the dispositive, is something completely new. And so I realized that I had created something new that was working for me and that was working for other people. And then I kept on learning and learning and learning. But right now that we're living in a moment in a very, very difficult moment. I think it's a moment of deep change, hopefully, but very difficult in terms of violence, in terms of war, in terms of exactly the opposite of what many of us would desire the world to be, yeah? All full of violence and full of hatred and full of people thinking that they are better than other people and trying to exterminate them. So it's something that it's so utterly painful to see, this genocide which is unfolding before our eyes, that it's showing us what we, each one of us, potentially could end up by doing. So we have to look at what other people, the problems that other people are expressing, as something that belongs to each one of us. It belongs to the humankind, yeah? And therefore, the aim right now, to me, because I'm an artivist, and my mission was clear from 2004, which was to create this society which was more focused on authentic human needs and not the needs of the market and not the needs of a few. It's just so important right now for me. Every time that I launch a workshop, I think about the sense of this workshop. And right now, the sense of this workshop is to develop the empathic gaze, towards oneself, and then to the others, and then to the world. And in order to foster change, because the thing is that in these workshops, there is something very beautiful happening. This group of people in this virtual space in my platform, it is a closed space only for this group, so nobody else enters in this space. But and people who have never met, yeah? So it's a group of people who have never met and who share these images, these authentic, intimate images, these emotions they share these emotions, and then other people see themselves in them. So because the pictures function like mirrors, yeah? And this sharing creates such an incredible connection that, first of all, it just puts down all the virtual barriers. So it's a space of love. It's a space of non-judgment. It's a space of deep human connection, because we share and we mirror ourselves in other people's emotions and needs, and that is what we do. And so this sharing and this profound connection is something that connects to our collective unconscious, because we're all connected in our collective unconscious, and it just travels through, and it creates sort of waves, even if it's a small group, yeah? Of course, there are millions of other small groups of people who are sharing these connections and whose waves, influence the world, And these things we don't read in the news, but there is so many people who are doing wonderful work, that this is inspiring, and it inspires the collective unconscious. So we have to keep on doing things like that, getting together to create these profound human connections with people you've never met, in order to divulge through these waves, this empathic gaze, because it's exactly the opposite than violence, because violence comes from the judgment. And what we do is precisely non-judging, yeah? And so what we are doing, first of all, the main result is this broadening of self-perception, in which you can see this multiplicity, this incredible multiplicity, where your shortcomings appear as one part of a whole. And you see all this multiplicity, and yes, you can watch your shortcomings because they're not so bad as you thought, because they're just part of a whole, And you see the other participants, they are exactly like you, They have their own shit and they have their own diamonds, And they are a multiple as well, multiple as you are, So I do believe that what we are doing is something that is also beneficial to the rest of the world, and is beneficial in this moment of war and hatred and violence, in which we can really work on the love and the sharing, first of all. But then, one thing that SPEX does, that I've always said so, and despite the fact that in my workshops, which last 3 months, so it's not a long time in order to monitor if people are better identifying or understanding their own mission and their own place in the world, yeah. Now, for me, it's something really important to allow it. So it's going to be something new in this workshop in English. It's something that in which this is going to help it's going to help people to better identify their place in the world and their mission, yeah, if they haven't already, And if they have already a mission, then, it's going to perhaps broaden more, and deepen more the sense of the mission, and adapt and make it evolve, yeah? So I'm going to concentrate, and this is something that is so important for my activism and for my artivism, because what I want is that we all move and we all really do our best to change this world. This already, what's happening right now, and all the expressions of love, people taking to the streets in order to save a people, and most of them, they are not related to these people who are suffering genocide right now. So this is a huge expression of love, and therefore this is a moment of change. And because it's a moment of change, I think that we can all, apart from taking to the streets, we can all do something in order to fill the world with more sharing, with more deep connection, with the non-judgment, with the anti-violence, with the connection between people, with the mirroring between people, with the empathy towards others, with the feeling that we're all equal and we all have the same rights. Yeah. So I think that the SPEX workshops can be an important contribution, because we all need to look at our shit in order to become better people. We all need to transform our shit into diamonds, yeah? And so through our shit and through our shortcomings, so to speak, we can become better people, we can connect with other people, because really, I mean, you know, since I have published my video Someone to Love on the internet, where I was, you know, like really getting naked, so to speak, symbolically, showing my shit and you know, being transparent and vulnerable. I've had, you know, like almost every week I have people thanking me from all over the world, because people need, this is nourishing, you know, your own life experiences are nourishing to others, well, if and when you want to publish them. You don't need to do that in the SPEX workshop, but what you're going to do is to share all these life experiences with a small group of people. And that sharing creates very profound connections, yeah? So the workshop will start in September, enrollments are open. It takes like from 2 to 4 hours per week, but it's flexible. Some weeks you might participate and some weeks you can't. So it's always a success. Of course, some participation is necessary, yeah? But the only fixed dates are the 4 group Zooms, which is once a month. It lasts 3.5 months. And the other dates are flexible, so the individual sessions with me, which are 3 once a month, you can ask me when you can, so when we can, we fix our date. And then there is small group sessions that you fix a date when everybody is available, yeah? The rest of the work is on the online platform, because you take your pictures, you upload them in the platform, you get other people's comments, and then you comment on other people's. And that is already inside the platform. This exchange of comments and pictures is just so wonderfully powerful in building these deep connections with people you've never met, you know. So it is an act of love, and it is an act of loving oneself in order to love as well the others, and in order to change the world and fill the world with love, because we do need this as soon as possible, and we can all do something, because the collective unconscious is very powerful, and perhaps we think that we can't do much, you know, in against a war, against a genocide, but it's not true. You know, the work that we do in small groups of people, the work that we do in creating this empathic gaze towards ourselves and towards others is immense. Believe me. Thank you.